Hello everyone. Myself Dr. Deptee Warikoo, Department of Physiotherapy, Dolphin PG Institute of Biomedical and Natural Sciences. Our today's lecture is about results and discussion in a good research paper. A good research paper has both the qualities of good studies and good writing. In addition, a research paper must be clear, short, and effective when presenting the information in an organized structure with a logical manner. We all know that what are the basic things what we do in research paper is introduction, review of literature, methodology, results and discussion, summary and conclusion. So today we will be discussing about the results and discussion. The results section is a section containing a description about the main findings of the research, whereas the discussion section interprets the results for readers and provides the significance of the finding. Now, what is it about this section? This chapter or these chapters of thesis that present the findings and outcomes of research, and they present it in the particular form of text, figures, graphs, and charts. Some of the common reasons the results and discussion section might cause reviewers to reject a manuscript are the confusing tables or the figures, inconsistent or inaccurate data, potential variables that are not reported, overinterpretation or underinterpretation of the results. To avoid these problems, you can use an organized structure such as outline, points, or subheadings to write the results and discussion section. So first we will discuss about the results. So how to organize these results section? First of all, the results we all know tells us about the outcomes, the findings. So it should be presented in a proper data manner and proper ordered and analyzed form. The methodology, whatever you are going to use, whatever result of that methodology is, it should be in a proper ordered or analyzed manner. Past tense is a feature here usually because we are writing what has been done. And always it should describe the findings in a simple way to help the reader to understand about the interpretations of the data. Figures and tables should appear very properly. Since your result follows your method section, you will provide information about what you found from the methods and how that is relevant to your study. To start, always organize your research data based on how important those are in related to your research questions. The next step is to prioritize your research data based on importance. So always organize your subheadings. They should be properly organized. The experimental purpose, the approach, the results, and the interpretations. The text, the figures, the tables, they all should be in an organized manner. Sometimes we get confused about how to differentiate between data and results. Data are information that you collect from your research, whereas the results are the text presenting the meaning of your research data. So, this should be very nicely interpreted. Next is the discussion part. The discussion, as we all know, is very important. It's not enough to use figures and tables in your results to convince your readers to identify what is in your discussion. The discussion section is probably the most creative section of your paper in terms of telling a story about your research. In this section, based on your findings, you defend the answers to your research questions and create arguments to support your conclusions. What does the result or data from the experiment mean to us is described in the discussion. So the function of discussion is to first interpret results in light of what was already known about the subject, and second, explain new understandings of the problem after taking results into consideration. Now here we have to explain how the results answer the question under the study. So now here the two things in our study are the results and the discussion. We could say results are the core of the research paper. Here, the data generated by doing research after validation and verification is written, and results are important in answering the objectives of the research. And it also interprets the findings of the research. Whereas the discussion starting cause of the particular result states the cause of the particular result, discusses the meaning of the results, states clearly what their significance is, and compares the result with theoretical expectations. So how do we present the data? How can we uh, keep the data in our research in a proper way? That is kept in the form of your tables, figures, photographs, and your flow diagrams. These are often used to represent the details, whereas the narrative section of the result tends to be used to present the general findings. Numerical data can usually be presented more effectively in tables or graphs than if you write it in text. The order of presentation of the result should be either chronological to correspond with the method or from the most of the least important part. It will depend on you how you want to interpret your or present your result. This is very important. Sometimes we get confused about how to present it. So this is the best person to decide is the researcher himself. Each subheading in the result should contain a combination of text, that is to explain about the research data, figures to display the research data and to show trends or relationships, and then tables to represent a large data and its exact value. See, first we can see the tables. It represents a large data and the exact value. It is an organized set of data elements using a model of vertical columns which are identified by their names, and the horizontal rows. It depends on what you are collecting, what are your main determinants that will be written on the tables. The cell is the unit of table, whereas row and column intersects it. Then we have the charts. A chart is a graphical representation of the data in which the data is represented by symbols such as the bars in a bar chart, lines in a line chart, or slices in a pie chart. A chart represents tabular numerical data. Whatever your data is, how it is synchronized and how it is analyzed, the chart will be representing that. Then we have the graphics. Graphics are usually images or design used for pictorial representation of the data. They could be photographs, drawings, graphs, diagrams, symbols, or maps, as you can see in here. The purpose of the result and discussion section. What is the basic purpose of this results? So we see there are lots of elements here in results. Whenever I talk about tables should be used, you should always give numbers to the tables or headings to everything. There should be footnotes. What is the basic purpose of writing this results? That is, first we should know how to write these results properly. There should be directly written so that the reader understands it very properly. Avoid using a repetitive sentence. Write and highlight your important findings. Use the same order as the subheadings of the method section. Match the results with the result question from the introduction. Make sure there is no mismatch of the table numbers or the figure numbers. Only represent data that supports the significance of your study. In the same way, when we say what is the purpose of discussion, so when we write the discussion, the first part of the discussion should state the importance and the new findings of the research. Then there should be the middle part. The middle part should contain the interpretations of the results to defend your answers, the strength of the study, the limitations of the study, and an update literature review that validates your study. And then the end part should be concluding. It should conclude the study and the significance of your research. So these answers and these patterns should be there, which should be depicting your results and the discussion properly. This discussion has got a very important part, so everything should be written in paragraph wise, and every paragraph should provide proper interpretations based on the findings which you have written in your results. Then we have to make sure that we are writing it in a proper section and proper paragraph wise manner. Now, preparing results and discussion, for that, first you should process the data and then analyze that data. Data, what you will collect from your methodology, will be first processed in a proper manner in a proper tabular channel, and then it will be analyzed by you or by a statistician. So, processing operation has got these following steps. It will be including editing, coding, classification, and tabulation of the data. The data is examined first, collected, examined. The raw data is collected, error is omitted, and then a proper coding is done to the data. It is processed for the assigning numericals or symbols so that the response can be put into a limited class. And then there is convergence of raw data into homogeneous group in order to get meaningful relationship. Then we arrange the classified data into a concise and local order so that we could give this data to the statistician. Then the statistician takes the data and uses different statistical measures for the analysis. There could be lots of other measures which could be used, like measures of central tendency. They could use mean, median, mode, and then measures of dispersion, standard deviations, and variance could be used. For measures of relationship, correlation, regression analysis, t-test, z-test, and other tests could be included. It will depend on what is the main objective of your study. On the basis of that objective, the means will be used. Now, points to be considered for this chapter is: divide the chapter into sections according to the objectives. Choose one best way instead of presenting same data in several ways. Do not present tables and figures in text form. Tables and figures should be clearly labeled in order to being referred in the text. One more thing: highlight the significance of your findings. Mention how the study will fill the gap of knowledge. Indicate the implication of your research. Avoid generalizing, misinterpreting your results, drawing a conclusion with no supportive finding from your results. Now, how to write the conclusion? First sentence should restate your thesis. Second sentence should summarize all your reasons. Third sentence should write your counter argument, and fourth sentence leaves them something to think about what your study is, how it could be done, how it could help in future researches, and what are the basic conclusions your study is drawing. So there are some limiting factors which we could see, like biotic factors and abiotic factors. First, we'll talk about the biotic factors. Biotic factors are like food, predation, some diseases, parasitism, invasive species, or competition. And abiotic factors include water, living space, global warmings, some habitat destructions, shelter, or soil. So, on the basis of these, you can write the limiting factors of your studies. For example, when you were concluding the study, when you were or when you were having the study on, what were the factors which limited your ways of data collection or limited your ways to apply some particular invention? So what were the limiting factors that you have to include here, depending on whether they were biotic or whether they were abiotic? Thank you. This was about the results and discussion. In the next class, we will be discussing about limitations and clinical relevance of the studies. Thank you so much. See you in the next class. If you have any queries or anyone wants to ask anything, you can message me or you all can WhatsApp me. Thank you so much.